Hello, and good evening. Good evening to everyone. My name is Bernard. I will be your host tonight. Welcome to Space Oddities, our weekly catch up on everything space, with our lovely panel of astronomer amateurs and astronomer professionals. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us on our weekly catch up every Monday at 8 p.m. Today, we have a fantastic group of panelists. Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Hello.
How's
Hello.
everyone doing today?
Good and cold.
Go.
Cool. I think most of us are cold either if we are in the UK or in the US, right, Lou?
Oh, it's very cold here. Yes, it is, and snowing in places.
All right. So tonight we have really an exciting show, guys. We're going to be talking about the latest on space news, of course. Roger will take us through what's up in the night sky. Andy's going to talk to us about something really peculiar that happened with one of our members and Twitter. Rachel is going to cover all the images that you have kindly sent us in the last few weeks. So thank you again for that. We will talk about Lou will talk to us about the lunar gateway. I will mention some of the past discoveries of JWST, and we will also talk about a new competition. So there's a lot to go on tonight, guys, and I hope everyone will be having a great time and a fun time. But before we do all this, I'm going to take the opportunity that I am the host just to apologize because last week when I was presenting a slide on Apollo 17, I wrongly mentioned that the Apollo astronaut, was geologist, when of course it was Harrison Schmitt. And I don't even know why I made this mistake, because I actually wrote about Harrison Schmitt before in one of my books. It's just one of those things that happen. So apologies for this. My mea culpa has been made. And I think we can go on with the show now. So, Michael, can we start with you? Tell us about the latest news.
Okay, thank you very much. Just bear with me a second. I'll get my slides sorted. Oops. Can you see my slides now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hang on. Why didn't that share? So hold on a second. Then let me.
I think Andy needs to pull some levers in the back, right?
And that, where is Andy?
Where is Andy? All right, folks. Apologize for this. It seems like we're having a little technical problem. The person in charge of uploading the presentations for everyone to be able to see nicely doesn't seem to be. He was there right before we started the show, and he's just dropped off. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Michael, can you just talk us through the latest science space news, and we'll just try and see if we can upload the.
Hang on a second. Okay, I will just go through the latest news manually, as it were. So I know you can't see my slides, but the first bit of news takes us back to last weekend, a week ago, when the Boeing built X-37B orbital test vehicle is shown here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center on the 12th of November, after spending a record 908 days in orbit for its sixth mission, conducting science experiments. This is an experimental top secret vehicle by the US Air Force. And so, unfortunately, we don't have any other information about it. We know that the previous mission actually lasted 780 days. So it is possible for orbiters built like this to stay in orbit a lot longer than the space shuttle ever did. Okay.
I'm Michael. Can I interrupt you? This is a conversation with the panel. I'm always intrigued about this because we've been following this for years now, right? And I'm always wondering, if it's a top secret mission, how come we know how many days it's been spending in space?
Well, obviously, if it lands somewhere public like the Kennedy Space Center, it's not going to be too difficult for people to spot it, I suppose. Obviously, they won't tell you anything about the mission, any dates and times of launch or landing.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, the launch is the same again because it's launched on Atlas V, so that would be known, the launch date. But they won't tell you anything that happens whilst it's on orbit. So you won't find it on any of the NASA websites because it's a US Air Force spacecraft, and obviously the US Air Force websites would not list it either. So that's what it is, unfortunately. It's a shame that a lot of these things have to be top secret, but that's where we are at the moment with it. The next thing I have in the news is about the forthcoming lunar lander spacecraft that's going to be launched in the next few months. The Astrobotic Peregrine lander has left their headquarters. It's now headed for test facilities for final acceptance before being launched to the moon in the first quarter of 2023. And the Peregrine lunar lander will be the first commercial lunar lander to ever soft land on the moon. So looking forward to that one.
Fantastic, Michael.
Sorry about that, guys. I had a computer crash. I disappeared. Michael, would you like me to put your presentation up?
Yeah, I will try that again.
Okay.
Great, thanks, Andy.
That's all right.
Okay, well, just bear with me a few seconds.
We've had a few flashes of lightning, so it may have been a surge of some sort.
Interesting. Right. How about that?
That looks great.
Okay. Let me get my notes back. Okay, so that was about the Peregrine lunar lander, which is going to be the first commercial lunar lander to soft land on the moon. The spacecraft. We do
Michael, I need to interrupt you. We're only seeing the logo screen. We're not seeing the images that your talk is about.
Hang on a second.
Apologies for this, viewers. This is the joy of going live.
Right, I'm going to have to do.
I can page through them, Michael. You just tell me when you want it to change.
Just give me. I just want to try something else first.
Okay.
If I do share screen again. No, I think.
Okay.
Sorry about this, guys.
Yeah. They're not paging through the slides, Michael. So
no, okay. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Maybe.
Yes.
Got it now. Got it now. There we are.
Okay. So if you can go back to the first slide, Andy, if you don't mind. This is just showing the what the X-37B looks like. It's obviously an unmanned spacecraft. Looks like very much like a mini shuttle with a stubby delta wing, and that's basically all we really know about it. So next slide, Andy. So and that was the Peregrine lunar lander that I just mentioned. And next slide, Andy. Okay. And the next one is the European Space Agency will be selecting some new astronauts this week on Wednesday the 23rd. This will be the first selection of European astronauts since the last time in 2009. In 2009, of course, that selection included the United Kingdom's Tim Peake, who spent 6 months on the ISS from December 2015. So look forward to that announcement this week. Next one, Andy. The bit of news about the Gateway lunar outpost that Bernard mentioned very briefly earlier. NASA and Japan have announced that Japan's contribution to the space station will be to the Gateway will be extended And in return, Japan will be able to send a Japanese astronaut to the Gateway on a future mission. Obviously, we don't know when that will be yet, because we're still waiting the station to be built and so forth.
Right.
So that's good news for that. But the Japan have also said that they're going to continue supporting the ISS until its completion in 2030.
Right.
So, okay, next one. Next one is Virgin Orbit and Spaceport Cornwall. Spaceport Cornwall has received its first ever UK spaceport license only a few days ago. But I've been trying to find anything about the first launch. I've only found a little murmur that the Launcher 1 rocket was being fueled a few nights ago, and the fueling failed because of communication issues. But I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere, or whatever. So I'm not seeing any technical information about the launch at all. And we still don't know an actual flight date for the launch from Cornwall. So just wait to hear about that one.
This is fantastic news.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay, next slide, Andy.
Right.
I know we will be mentioning Artemis 1 today. There's been a lot going on since it was launched on Monday. And just to let you know that if you head over to NASA TV from 10 p.m. UK time, there'll be an update from NASA about the mission at 10 p.m. tonight. And whilst, if you go to the next slide, whilst Orion is at the moon, we mustn't forget the Capstone spacecraft, which was launched by Rocket Lab. That's now in its planned orbits, which will demonstrate the feasibility of the orbit for the Gateway in the future. So that's good news about that one. Okay, Andy. And next is another something else happening tonight is SpaceX will launch Eutelsat 10B from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral. Liftoff is targeted for 02:57 UTC tomorrow morning UK time. And a bit of news about Starship. We've already heard that the lunar version of Starship is going to be used for the first landing on the moon. NASA has extended that to include the second landing, and also wants SpaceX to demonstrate Starship's capability to dock with the Gateway. And they're also extending the contract for other commercial payload missions as well to the moon. So that's interesting development of that. So okay, there's a significant amount of cargo, they say.
Yeah.
Okay. My last slide is some unfortunate news, I'm afraid. I heard a couple of days ago that British astronomer Professor Tom Marsh from the University of Warwick, went missing nearly 2 months ago. He was found dead, unfortunately, in the last few days. There's no other details of how he died or what happened. But there is a statement from the University of Warwick about his loss. But he was working in Chile at one of the observatories, or should I say Chile, at one of the observatories, and failed to turn up for an observing run. And that's when the alarms started. So a bit of unfortunate news to end on tonight. So
yeah,
that's it for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry about the technical issues there.
Yeah, thankfully we managed to smooth out the technical issues, and thanks for that, Michael. That's really good.
Okay.
I'd like to add actually that we've just learned of the passing of a great American science fiction author, Greg Bear, who passed away
Really?
yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yes, yeah. The book. So there we go.
Yeah, very sad.
Ad Astra to Greg. I'd also like to remind our viewers, don't forget to subscribe and to like the video, because now our audience will continue on growing. And we would also like to thank our sponsor, which is Rother Valley Optics, for supporting us throughout this show. Right. Great. So now that we finished the news, let's look at what's up in the night sky with Roger. Roger, what do you have with us tonight?
Well, we've got a few interesting items here, which I shall promptly go to. Right, okay. So here we go for the 21st and 27th. And as you can see, we will be having a new moon this week. And no doubt there'll be cloudy skies when that happens. While the sky was clear in Spartford, I managed to get this picture of Mars. So it's one that's, as you can see, it's now becoming more like a full disk now as we're getting near to the opposition on the 8th of September. And also during that time here, we are going to get an occultation of it by the moon.
Oh, really?
In the early hours of the morning.
When's that, sorry?
On the 8th.
On the 8th, right.
So that should be good.
Yeah.
So Roger, on your picture of Mars there, is that the northern polar ice caps that you see?
Northern polar, that's Syrtis Major, where my cursor is. So
can't see your cursor.
Not too bad. Oh, right. Okay. Is that pyramid-y bit that's pointing to the North Pole?
Yeah.
Very technical. Okay. And while I was out, I did the horse head, which I like to do.
That's lovely.
And that was only half an hour.
That's pretty good. Lovely.
Got potential.
Yeah.
And last night is the Running Man. So Orion is coming up.
Yeah. Still can't see a Running Man, but never mind.
No, me neither.
Okay. Right. So here we go. We've now got this all from 10 p.m. in the UK time. So as you can see, Orion is now coming up, and we still got Jupiter and Mars, which is working its way back into Taurus. And now Saturn is almost setting. So goodbye, Saturn.
Jupiter's still glorious, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can see it. It's shining quite well at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that we've got the dark skies coming back.
Yeah, thank goodness.
As you can see, right. And should anyone be watching in the southern hemisphere, as they can see, they've got everything all upside down and back to front, and anything else they like to have up down over there. At least they've still got Saturn nicely high up in the sky.
And Jupiter bang on the meridian.
Yeah, in the north.
In the north, yeah.
That's not normal.
No, it isn't.
Not for us.
That's obscene. That shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. It's spaceship, but not as we know it. So we've got a few little images from the James Webb. We've got this Pandora's cluster, which is showing some very, very far galaxies labeled, which you can just about see in the left and right side images.
So what's this, right? Is this like a long exposure shot?
I don't think so. It's just trying to find the furthest images away from these latest images.
Oh, I see 1 and 2, yeah. Wow, there's some interesting stuff in there, isn't there? Wow.
There's a lot going on in number 2 there.
Yeah, definitely. What is that? Is it more lensed galaxies? That's what it looks like a bit.
Could be a nova.
Ah, indeed.
And then we've got this colourful object.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's the butterfly.
So what is this representing?
Similar.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing when I saw it the other day.
Wow. So you have to remember this is an infrared image. This is not how it appears in the sky or through a normal telescope.
Such a shame.
So
Yeah.
can we explain to our viewers what this is representing?
No.
No.
there's a blank.
I did look at this and I did read the annotations, but I cannot it's all about inflows and outflows, isn't it, if I remember rightly?
Yeah.
But I can't remember the fine detail, I'm afraid. It's the Butterfly Nebula, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. That's also the visual image of this is today's NASA's astronomy picture of the day. It's a glorious image if anybody follows APOD. But this is the infrared, and it's telling us an awful lot. We just don't know what it is. But
a really good website to go to for any information on this is the esaweb.org website.
Yeah.
They all the latest images.
Right.
Yeah.
It's apparently a bipolar planetary nebula in Scorpius.
It's amazing.
Right.
Bipolar planetary nebula. There we are.
And as Michael's shown, we've got these new images of the Artemis project, which is still going around the moon now.
Can I just say a big thank you to those of you who joined us for our live stream earlier this afternoon when we covered this live. And thank you for being there. Much appreciated. And as far as we know, we won't know until the update, but as far as we know, the Orion spacecraft did carry out its correction burn to put it into lunar orbit correctly. And I did say at the time, didn't I, Roger, just as the moon was occulting the Earth, I was just about to grab a screenshot of that, and they lost the telemetry as it went behind the far side of the moon. Or the back side of the moon, as NASA insist on calling it. So there we are. Lovely images, though.
Yeah. Obviously, with these ultra-wide cameras, it makes the moon like a flat moon.
Yeah.
To go with the flat Earth.
Yeah. It's a flat egg in this image, isn't it? Yeah.
As opposed to a flat Earth. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Can I make a comment on that? The Earth setting photo, if I may. Comparing it with the Apollo 8, famous Apollo 8 shot, the Earth looks a lot smaller than the Apollo 8 image. I presume it's a lot to do with focal length of the camera used.
Yes.
Yes.
It has to do with the optics.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, they used a 250mm medium format lens, so obviously you're going to.
On the Apollo 8,
rather than
that's
ultra wide.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a field of view issue as well.
Yeah, it's a field of view, isn't it? More than anything. Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it's good that you mentioned that, because let's remind ourselves that this is currently uncrewed, and when there's going to be astronauts in this capsule, not only will we have pictures like this, but actual pictures, hopefully, of the astronauts taking shots from the windows.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be amazing, but we've got a couple of years yet to wait.
Yeah, and we've also got a lot of images from NASA to be released from this orbit that they won't be releasing until sometime in the next day or so.
All right. And I presume
their telemetry and stuff.
I presume the astronauts will be using the Nikon full frame cameras like they do on the ISS to take with them on Artemis 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect so. That'd be great.
Anyway, that's my presentation.
Do they not use Hasselblads anymore?
No, not that I know of.
No.
I could be corrected on that. But
No,
anytime
It's only
you-
because one of the astronauts took a Hasselblad out with him without telling them.
Yeah.
I know they use the Hasselblads on Apollo, but they're generally Nikon DSLRs on the ISS.
Because the Hasselblads did an amazing job, didn't they? They were amazing cameras.
Yeah, no, that's right. And a lot of them, of course, all of the pictures were rather hit and miss in what they returned, because they didn't actually have a viewfinder that you could look through, or the astronaut that could look through, because the camera was actually strapped to their chest.
Oh, yes, of course.
So
Yeah.
the very few pictures that are from the lunar surface are very hit and miss in that respect. So that's why there's only that one image of Neil Armstrong, I believe.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Right. That's it, is it, Roger?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for that.
I am the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yeah.
You said it, Roger.
So it said,
yeah. Thank you so much, Roger. That was very interesting, as usual. I believe now we have Andy, who's going to share with us a little tale with one of
Yes,
our
indeed.
panelists.
Thank you so
Marion.
much, Bernard. Just before I do that, can I just thank those of you who have been answering the poll questions on our Facebook page? I did post 7 questions in all, because we've now been going for 6 months here on Space Oddities, and it seemed a good time to ask you, the viewers, what you think of what we do. And I just want to thank those of you who have answered the questions on Facebook, because it is absolutely invaluable for us to forge a way forward for Space Oddities, to improve what we do, to give you what you would like to see. I would ask those of you who haven't taken part in the poll yet, please do so on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and search for Space Oddities. You'll find us. And there are 7 questions somewhere in the list of posts there. If you could spare just a little time to answer them, we'd really like your help, because so far we haven't got a terribly big sample. And without feedback from you, our viewers, we don't know where to go. So please, if you would do that, would be very kind. Now then, Space Oddities in the news. And you may know this story. This is our very own Mary McIntyre. Mary can't be with us, unfortunately, tonight, because she's doing a talk. But this was a story, a most amazing story. And for those of you that are not familiar with the story, this was Mary versus Twitter. Now, what actually happened was that a few months ago, Mary posted a video on Twitter that was taken from her back garden of a particularly bright meteor, a fireball, no less. And this is a still from that video. She posted that on Twitter, and Twitter took it down, saying that it contained intimate material that she hadn't got the consent to post. In other words, porn. And Mary complained to Twitter about this, and she went through the appeals procedure, and she lost. And Twitter basically told her that they would and they closed her account on Twitter. And obviously this was a great inconvenience for Mary, and she went through the appeals procedure and nothing happened, and she couldn't get in touch with actually anybody human at Twitter to take the matter up with. They told her account would be reinstated if she agreed that she had posted porn, basically. Now, Mary obviously didn't want to do that, because she works a lot with children doing astronomy outreach in schools, and she didn't want that on her record, as it were, that she'd been posting porn on Twitter. Anyway, this has been going on for months, and, you know, as we know, just trying to find somebody human to converse with at these high-tech companies is impossible, because everything, or not everything, but you know, a lot of it is automated. The processes are automated. So anyway, our Rachel here put her in touch with somebody at the BBC. So thank you very much for that, Rachel. And the result was that it hit the BBC News. And in fact, this was one of the stories on the BBC news feed. astronomer in Twitter limbo conjures up all sorts of images, but not the ones probably I'm thinking about. And before he knew what had happened, it went viral on the BBC. It was on Radio 4. I think it hit ITV as well. The story was just everywhere. And Mary even made the hallowed Friday weekly news quiz on the BBC. And there's the question. I did get it right, incidentally, which was good. And the story was just everywhere. And in absolutely no time at all, Mary had her account restored by Twitter, which is great. And we're really happy for Mary that she's back on Twitter. Having said that, of course, it should never have happened in the first place. Obviously, the artificial intelligence had flagged her video as pornographic, and there was nobody human around to correct it. And this is very bad for a few reasons. One of them is that artificial intelligence learns by its mistakes. That's how it gets better and better. And if there's nobody human around to actually tell it it made a mistake, it will keep making the same mistakes. So this sad episode should never have arisen. And at least Mary's back on Twitter. So that was the story. She tells us she can't be here tonight because she's doing a talk. I reckon it's because she's now such a media celebrity. She's actually having dinner with the Sultan of Oman. So we will see. But well done, Mary, and well done to Rachel as well for putting in touch with the BBC. And at least Mary's now back on Twitter. But just goes to show artificial intelligence is useless unless there are humans around to look after it, as it were. So there you go. So that's
I have
Mary's
to just
story.
add as well, I only had the BBC contact because my friend Mike, he's a photographer, and he'd posted a lovely picture of some cows in a field. And that got flagged up for being overtly sexual. So he had his overtly sexual cows, and he has a friend who works for the BBC who went down the same route. So as soon as this happened, I thought, I know exactly who to ask about this. So his article, I'll post it, can still be found about overtly sexual cows.
Yeah, well, there was another guy I read in the news that had posted apparently an overtly sexual image of a combine harvester at night. It's as I said, if there are no humans around to correct these things, they'll just keep doing it. Appalling way to treat people, if you ask me. But there you are.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. And Rachel, since we're with you, why don't we go to the viewers gallery?
Awesome. Yeah, if you can load that up for me, Andy, that would be beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so this week, you'll have to forgive me if there are any mistakes. I've been a little bit dusty and out of touch, being poorly. But this one's from Jerry, and I think I've seen his name watching tonight as well. And this is the Bat Nebula, which is part of the Eastern Veil. And he's using a one-shot color camera for this and the Extreme filter by Optilong, and he's processed it in PixInsight and Photoshop.
That's great.
Yeah. I do like this nebula. I think both this one and the Western Veil, I think they're just so different to all the other types of nebula you get.
And Jerry did actually take a bigger image of the Eastern Veil. That may be part of the same image, actually. It's a lovely image.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jerry. Then we've got one from Chris, and I know Chris is watching again tonight, and this is the Seda region in Cygnus, sometimes known as the Butterfly Nebula. And this one is a whopping 11 hours of data, over half of which is mostly hydrogen alpha, using 7 nanometer narrowband filters. And he said this is in his favourite palette, which is the sort of the Hubble palette, as nothing else looks right to him. But if it ain't broke, Chris,
don't fix it.
Don't fix it, because it looks gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We've got a comment from Chris here, you probably see on the screen. Well done, Rachel. They should never underestimate a Yorkshire lass.
We get things done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful picture there, Chris. I really do like that one. I just love even the blues in the star colours, and
that's
it's
11
nice to see
hours.
some green still left in as well.
That's lovely.
That's 11 hours of integration.
11.
Oh my goodness.
That's some dedication.
There's dedication for you here.
I think Chris has had different skies to me. Then we've got one from Andy. This is Milot 15, so this is in the middle of the Heart Nebula. And this was all taken in one session, again using a one-shot colour and an Opt1 L Ultimate filter. And this has been stacked and processed in PixInsight. Now, Andy did send in a couple of different versions of this, but
Oh,
quite like
wow.
the rich colours in this one.
Oh, that's beautiful, Andy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
God, don't we have some talented viewers, honestly?
Seems very talented. And it's nice, actually, 'cause you never normally get a really cropped in version of Milot 15 like this. So, very nice.
Is it something you've imaged, Rachel?
We've done the Heart Nebula as a whole, but
Yeah.
our field of view isn't quite close enough for this. But it's definitely something I'm now interested in. When I see Andy do these really cropped in pictures, it just changes the composition, I think, of what you're used to seeing, and it does make you want to try different things. So you never know. Then we've got NGC 7822, which is in Cepheus. And again, this is another one by Chris. And this was his first narrowband image after picking up a second-hand mono camera. So I think he said this is nearly 13 hours again.
Wow.
I hope he wasn't hand guiding. That would be.
Can you imagine?
She's really
Must have a pretty good guider as well.
That's
And I
stunning.
know this
photo.
one as the whale tail, because this little black, I don't know if you can see you can't see my cursor, can you? But there's sort of like a little black dusty patch, and it looks like a whale diving into the water. You can see its tail.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I always call that the whale tail. Don't know why. I've probably made it up.
That's a stunning picture.
That's lovely.
Mm.
Then we've got one from Matt.
All the whale's tail.
Of the lunar eclipse, and it says he took it this morning. Obviously, that was on the day he said the email, not this morning. And here we go.
Nice.
That is lovely, isn't it? That's
Now, there was no more information on what he took it with or anything else, so
very mysterious.
it's very, very mysterious, but very nice all the same.
Lovely. Beautiful. Well done.
Then we've got Cygnus Wall by Hogarth, and this is just 2 hours. And I think this is a really nice, another one-shot colour image. And I think this nebula, you can really get away with not too much exposure time, and it still always looks really good.
That's amazing.
So I really like the colours on this one. Really, really nice Hoagie.
When you look at things like this, you have to kick yourself to remember that you're looking at things that are trillions of miles across. It's just the scale you just can't comprehend.
And I think that is the end for this week.
Thank you very much.
The detail in these images is incredible. How much did we spend on James Webb?
And was it worth it?
If you paid these guys a good wage, I mean, it seems like we'd save some money.
I think the thing is, like, CGI and computer graphics, everything has got so much better and next level. I think you sometimes forget that actually you are looking at it. It's not animated. It's not computer generated. This is actual pictures, and I think there's that many different space renditions. It's hard to sometimes remember that you are looking at these are actual images, and taken by people in their back gardens, and I think that's amazing.
It is amazing how far the technology's moved on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for this, Rachel, and thank you so much, viewers, for submitting these stunning images. We love watching them, and we love commenting on them, as you can hear. So that's great. Don't forget to send us any images, Rachel. I presume you'll put the email on the comment section.
I will add it now.
Fantastic. So any new pictures, please send them to us. We love receiving your pictures. Excellent.
Yeah. Christopher says excellent images all. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, absolutely.
And Jerry says thank you,
much.
Rachel. Yes, we do look forward to seeing your images weekly, and it was a fantastic gallery. Thanks, Rachel, and thanks to everybody.
And Lou, since you've been you've had a remark on JWST, why don't we go to you now, and you can talk to us a bit about Lunar Gateway?
Yeah, that's a logical transition, isn't it? From deep sky astrophysics, human spaceflight. So let's see.
We've had worse. We've had worse.
Can I share here? Let's see. A little bit slow, but I think I can get there. I'm supposed to have this very fast processor, but it's
just while Lou's loading it up, just going back to Mary as well, and maybe some other people. There are a lot of scammers at the minute using Mary's information and making fake accounts.
Oh,
So if you
really?
do come across a Twitter account or Instagram account, that's her tagline, but with an X at the end. That's not her actual account. So they've been really good at making it look legitimate. So just make sure that it's actually Mary. If it sends you anything, don't follow it.
Yeah. How you doing there, Lou?
Yeah, do I have permission to share?
Yeah. Well, you don't need permission. You just hit the share button and share your screen, and I'll add it into the stream.
Let me try again.
Okay. And coming up shortly, or in a little while, we will have news of this month's competition. We're a bit late in the month setting up the competition, but never mind. We've got a fantastic prize for you this month, and I'll be giving you details of the competition in a little while. Or would you like me to do that now, Lou, if you're having problems?
Yeah, it says unable to access screen sharing. Please ensure you're granted all necessary permissions and try again. So something's not working quite right.
Something's not working quite right. Okay. There was a solution for that permissions problem, and I can't remember what it was, which is helpful. But anyway, have a play, and
Okay, I can talk to it a little. It's not as
okay,
engaging, perhaps. So we've seen the images on the 16th of the launch of our next mission to the moon, Artemis, and so we're playing with orbits now, going into what's called a distant retrograde orbit, which is a stable orbit that takes advantage of the balance between the Earth and the Moon, and therefore, because it's so stable, it doesn't take much fuel consumption. So it's a very good orbit to be in. There'll be another burn Friday, which will put the crew exploration vehicle into a 40,000 mile altitude, and all this is being tracked by the Deep Space Network. But that's only part of the story, right? Because we have a Lunar Gateway lunar space station that will be launched to receive astronauts and provide a waypoint for them to go down to the moon, to the lunar surface. And that space station has a few options in terms of how it orbits. It could have a low lunar orbit, which would mean that it's very easy to get down to the surface of the moon and back, right? Because it's not that far, but it also requires a lot more fuel. So that's not ideal. It go into this DRO, distant lunar orbit. That would save on fuel, but would be a much longer trek to get back and forth from the lunar space station to the surface of the moon and back. So they've engineers and people who know about these things have decided on a near rectilinear halo orbit. And this is an orbit that takes advantage of both pluses between the low lunar orbit and the distant retrograde orbit. It's kind of an elliptical orbit that is very stable, but also comes close to the lunar surface for transfer of astronauts back and forth. So this is all planned for the late 2024, 2025. And we're still looking at 2025, perhaps 2026 for the first humans to set foot on the moon again. So we'll be following it with you here on Space Oddities.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lou. We live in exceptional times, and you've just reminded us that we will have people walking on the moon in the coming years. Just mind blowing. So,
may I make just another quick note? As we've looks like we lost perhaps a couple of greats in the astronomical community. A dear friend of mine, and also one of the greats in astronomy as well as amateur astronomy, Jay Pasakoff, passed away recently. Jay was an avid eclipse chaser. He probably has seen more eclipses than anyone else on the planet. He's written a couple of books on astronomy and was a true advocate of space science outreach for the public. So that's a great loss to our community.
Oh, how sad. So sorry for your loss, Lou.
For everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry for your loss, Lou. All right. Well, thank you again for informing us a bit, giving us a bit more clarity on the next steps for the Lunar Gateway. Andy, would you like to mention about the competition?
Sure, absolutely. So, viewers, here we are again. Another month has passed, and it's another Space Oddities competition to win a prize. Now, this month, with Christmas fast approaching and Santa Claus in the distance, we thought we would try and reflect that, because Christmas, above all, is a time for families. So we thought we'd offer a prize this month that reflected that. So the prize we're offering this month for our monthly competition is not one prizes, but two. And what we are offering as the prize this month for one lucky winner will receive 2 sets of binoculars. A set of Helios Sport binoculars, 10 by 25s, and a pair of Helios 10 by 50 binoculars. Now, anybody who knows about lenses and optics knows that Helios is an extremely reputable brand, high quality lenses. So we are offering 2 sets of binoculars, and the way we look at it is that the sport binoculars, the 10 by 25s, might be for a child who's starting out in astronomy. It's a good beginner's pair of binoculars for a little one, and the 10 by 50 is more aimed at an adult. So the competition reflects this adult and child thing, and let me tell you all about it, what you have to do to win these 2 sets of binoculars. We would obviously like to thank our sponsor, Rother Valley Optics, for the sport binoculars, and we at Space Oddities have actually offered our own prize, which are the 10 by 50 binoculars, so that we could give a family a chance to win both pairs. So thank you to Rother Valley. Just a bit more, you'll see a bit more detail about them. These are the 10 by 25 compact roof prism binoculars by Helios, and here are the 10 by 50s. So that's what they look like in a bit more detail, and they are exceptional binoculars. So here's what you have to do. How do you win these 2 pairs of binoculars? Well, we thought what we would do is aim the competition at a family with 1 adult and 1 child participating, and we're defining the child up to the age of 15 for reasons which you'll see shortly. And what we want the adult to do is to be creative for Christmas and write a poem about any astronomical object up to 200 words or thereabout. So get your thinking caps on, and if you like writing poems, even if you don't, have a stab at writing a poem about any astronomical object of your choosing. And then when you've done that, the child in your family should then create a drawing or a painting to illustrate that poem. So you'll be submitting both a poem by an adult and an image by a child. The poem can be in any style. It can rhyme, it could be freeform, it could be a limerick, if you've got any limerick writers out there, any form at all. So we'll leave that entirely up to you. And the drawing or painting can be done in any medium, and you can even do it in computer graphics, as it's Christmas. So any image at all created by a child up to the age of 15, and then you will have a chance at winning these 2 sets of binoculars. Now, just the details to go with that then, obviously. Please send your poem and the image to our email address, that is spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, entitling it competition entry, to reach us no later than the end of Friday, the 9th of December. That will give us the weekend to judge the entries and declare a winner. And we will be announcing the winner of this competition live here on in our show on Monday, the 12th of December. So you've got until the end of Friday, the 9th of December, to get your thinking caps on, write a poem, get a child to create an image, and send it to us. Please do include your home address in the email, so that in the event that you win, and we hope you will, obviously, then we have your home address to send the binoculars to. And usual thing, the entry that the Space Oddities panel, that's us, like the most will win. The panel's decision is final. And also entering the competition signifies your consent to Space Oddities using the poem and or the image for promotional purposes. We'd like your consent for that. Incidentally, while we're on the subject, the same thing applies to our viewers gallery that Rachel has just kindly shown us. If you send an image to us, it implies that you consent to us using it, not for commercial purposes, I must stress, but purely for promotional purposes. And your image, sending in an image, signifies your consent to us using it in that way. So thank you very much. Now, moving on, the calendar. We have produced a Space Oddities 2023 calendar. It will be published very soon.
Woohoo!
And thank you. Let's have a bit more reaction from the panel. Hurrah! Huzzah!
Yay!
Right. Okay. So we have produced a 2023 calendar, or more correctly, you, the viewers, have produced a 2023 calendar, because it consists of 12 images, which have been in our viewers gallery. And the panel has, between us, we've selected our favorite 12 images, which will go in the Space Oddities 2023 calendar. And we're going to offer it for sale to everybody in the UK and Ireland. So the calendars are available in the UK and Ireland for the unbelievably reasonable price of a mere £8, including postage and packing. And it will make a lovely Christmas gift for, well, everybody, really. I mean, who would want to be without a Space Oddities 2023 calendar? I mean, I ask you, is there such a person alive? No, absolutely. So the way that we will organize this is as follows. What you need to do, if you would like to buy a calendar, and we'll be upset with you if you don't, please go to PayPal on the web, paypal.com, and send us some money. Now, you do not need a PayPal account to be able to do this. You go to the PayPal front page, and there's an option there somewhere to send money, and all you need to do is supply an email address and give them your card details or whatever, and the money will be sent. So if you go to PayPal, make a payment to our email address, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com. When you do that, Daz's name will come up because he set the account up, and the name will appear is his real name. He goes under the name of Daz, but because of slight problems with Interpol and a few other people, his name is actually Daryl Salisbury. So when you do the payment, you will see the name Daryl Salisbury pop up. So don't worry about that. It's us. And that's all you need to do. Just go to the front page of PayPal, click send money. I can't remember the exact option, but you'll see it. Put in the email address, spaceodditieslive@gmail.com, and send us the money. And then if you'd be so kind as to then send us an email to confirm you've made payment, and send us your home address, and we will ship the calendar to you as soon as it's available. We think it will be sent out, hopefully, sometime in the second week of December. And we'll look forward to that. So that's the calendar. If you do have any questions, please put them in the chat now. Or, of course, you can email us yet again at spaceodditieslive@gmail.com if you have any questions, and we'll be only too pleased to answer, of course. So, Yes, grandchildren do count as family entries. It has to be a child, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an immediate child. It could be a grandchild or a great grandchild or even a great great grandchild. So yes, they definitely do count. So there we are. So that is the competition and the calendar.
That calendar there's your Christmas shopping right there.
Yeah,
3-4 calendars, you're done.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a perfect present for everybody. By the way, it is an A4 size calendar, so it's not a tiny desk calendar. It's a proper A4 on silk paper, good quality paper. So, yeah, get buying for your relatives. And you can buy as many as you like.
And feel free to share this this great news amongst amongst your family and friends.
Yes, I will
think
be posting it on Facebook as well. The details will go on Facebook and in the description of this this video tomorrow when YouTube have finished processing it.
Great.
And they're
Thank you so
perfectly
much.
sized to fit in stockings. We've tested that.
Yeah, big stockings, but you know, it can be done.
Perfectly sized.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to receive mine. And
Yeah, me too.
all right.
The only problem I have.
That went down like a lead balloon.
No, it
We
didn't.
could do a panel Secret Santa, and each one of us will just buy a calendar for one of the other person.
I'm surprised. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. The only problem I have, of course, is that thanks to Brexit, I have to pay a huge amount of import duty on stuff sent from the UK now. I recently bought a second-hand sci-fi paperback from Amazon, and it cost £3.99, and I paid €7 for the import duty. So you know, so that's Brexit. Thanks for that, guys. So there we are. Jack says, has my image been included in the calendar? Well, everybody whose image has been included in the calendar will be receiving either today or tomorrow an email from Daz asking them if they consent for their image to be used in the calendar. So if you don't receive an email today and tomorrow, then the answer is no, but better luck next year, because we'll probably do the same thing next year. But we would like, obviously, to thank everybody who sends in images. And just because your image may or may not have been included in the calendar does not mean in any way it's a worse image than the others. It's just, you know, just a panel decision that we all chose. So it's just the luck of the draw, really. So please don't take it to heart, and please do keep sending your images in.
I do like Chris's respond to that question, which is you'll just have to buy it and see it.
Buy it and see it. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're really looking forward to getting hold of these calendars, because it's something we've been talking about doing for a while, and all going well, we will soon have them. And if anybody wants to buy me one, then fine.
Great. Thank you so much, Andy. Great.
Pleasure.
I wanted to do a presentation on the latest on some of JWST and all the images they've sent to us in the last 4 months. But I think I'll do that for next month. We are slowly running up to the usual time. I will, however, say that let's not forget that last week it was confirmed that MIRI, the instrument where you had a grating wheel that was showing friction, and there were some issues, and they had stopped the observation of MIRI in that respect, if I remember. That has been resolved, and JWST is now operating at its full capacity once more, which is absolutely fantastic.
But no, we do have time for your presentation. Why don't we have a look at it now?
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's do that. So what I did is, dear panelists and viewers, is that JWST launched almost a year ago, right, to this month. Christmas time last year.
Yeah, that's true.
11 months ago. It's going to be almost a year. Time flies. And in the middle of July, they uploaded the first image. The first colored image was publicly pushed out to the media. That was in July. And so in the last 4 months, we've had a fantastic, just avalanche of amazing pictures. And I just wanted to, I got 12 pictures here, and I just wanted to share with the panel, and we can definitely talk about it and see what we think about these images.
Yeah.
So, Andy, what do I do? Do I just do I wait for you?
Just give me 1 second. I'm just sorry, I was just doing
That's
some
fine.
chat.
Here we go.
There we are.
So this was one of the images that JWST took from Jupiter in infrared. Hence why you see the bright red spots and the rest. And I remember we talked about this image when it came out.
It's amazing.
But I think it's just absolutely jaw dropping.
Well, what is amazing to me about that is how bright the red spot is in the infrared.
Yes, and you can definitely see how much energy is being formed within
That's a
Jupiter.
lot of energy in there.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, we had this absolutely jaw-dropping image of Neptune and its rings and its satellites and Triton up there on the top left. And I wrote a post about this, and on my blog, I had a smile on my face for 2 days, I think, when I saw this, because we haven't seen this planet like this ever since Voyager went there, and it was just truly remarkable image.
It is.
And then there was this really interesting image where they combined the images of Hubble and JWST for this pair of galaxies, and needless to say, we know which one is Hubble and which one is JWST. JWST, of course, is on the right, and Hubble is on the left. And but it's amazing, just to see the power of JWST right next to Hubble's image here. So I really like this,
because with the Hubble image, you can barely discern any spiral structure at all.
That's dust scattering, I think. I think actually the James Webb has a much bigger collecting area, but it's also collecting light at a longer wavelength. So that means that the spatial resolution of both telescopes is actually closer than you would think. So I think this is a dust obscuration type thing on the left.
Yeah, looks like it.
And then
amazing.
And then, of course, we talked about this recently. That's just such a spectacular image, and with these concentric shells. And we talked about what these were. Andy, do you want to remind us again how these were formed?
Yeah, this is caused by the interaction of two stars that pass closer to each other every few years. And every time they do, they interact and throw off a shell of dust. So these rings are not a camera artifact. They're nothing to do with the processing. These are actually there, and it's quite an amazing sight. I don't think we'd ever seen anything quite like this before. Luke, can you remember the details on this? I said so here, WR40, but I can't remember the exact nature of the interactions.
I'm so sorry. I don't. I've glanced at this once, and I haven't done much on it.
But it's basically that the I think it's every 3.5 years, if I remember rightly, that these stars interact, and the interaction throws off a ring of dust, and which travels outwards, and then another ring of dust gets sent outwards, and another, and so we're looking at the history of the thing, and in that way, it's a bit like tree rings. You can look back and see the history of the interactions between the two stars. Quite amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Andy.
Pleasure.
You'll explain it much better than I would. And then there was this composite image that he took of the Cartwheel galaxy, and I just how weird space sort of gathers, and of course, seeing it in infrared, we can really see the other types of structures within the galaxy itself. So that was just a reminder of the power of James Webb.
And it's also a reminder of the power of gravity, because gravity, after all, is the is the sculptor of the universe that forms all of these things. And
Yeah,
and when you
absolutely.
consider, compared to the other three forces, the fundamental forces of nature, how weak gravity is, and yet it is still able to create amazing structures. And I've often thought, if entropy is increasing in the universe, that is to say, the universe is becoming more and more disordered over time. Nature has a way of going the other direction and creating more and more complex structures over time. So it's quite an interesting thought.
Well, human beings are a great example of that. Yes.
Indeed, so. You see, well, life in general, yes, absolutely. Order out of chaos. But of course, overall, entropy is increasing as energy dissipates throughout the universe, and that will result in the whole universe cooling and result in what's called the heat death of the universe. When everything will have run out of energy, basically, it will be dissipated, leaving only black holes, basically, in an unfathomably large number of years in the future.
God, I hate when that happens.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, but there we are. But the fact that nature can create more and more complex structures and go against entropy like this is fascinating. And you're right, Bernard. I mean, just look at the sculptures that gravity creates. It's amazing.
Yeah, and talking about gravity, this is one of the most distant known galaxies. I can't remember I did prepare this earlier, and I can't remember how old this was, but it's going to be one of those ridiculous 13 something or 12.
It's about
billion.
13.2, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it was something within these ridiculous timelines. That's just it's just you just can't wrap your head around it, really.
No.
But this is what.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say this is what JWST was, what was designed for, is to capture these most distant objects in our solar system, and it's just wonderful that we already have a shot of these.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, this has been one of the big, not discoveries, because it was sort of expected that galaxies are in a much more advanced state of formation much earlier in the history of the universe than we thought. And of course, there have been lots of stupid headlines everywhere saying that, the Big Bang has been disproved and all of this nonsense. It doesn't. It just means that galaxies evolved much faster than we thought they did. But we knew we were going to find out stuff like this with the James Webb. It was what it was built for. It's exactly what it was built to study. So this is no big surprise that we're finding out things that we hadn't got quite right. Because if you think about it, cosmology is very much like archaeology. It's digging down through these strata, looking for evidence of the past. And the fact remains, of course, that after 13.8 billion years, I think the current estimate is, there's very little left that we can actually see. And we have to use instruments like the James Webb to look back in the infrared to see the very early universe. And it is, as archaeologists do, piecing it together piece by piece, and it's a very, very slow process.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. And actually, I want to mention here that let's not forget JWST has only started its science observations a few weeks ago. All the images that we received so far were basically images where the engineers were just testing JWST, taking pictures of planetary bodies, distant galaxies, close galaxies, nebulas, just trying every type of variation in observations, just to make sure they understand how the machine works before they actually go into the proper scientific observations. So this is the appetizer. We are going to be absolutely amazed by what's going to come out. And
Absolutely.
I know we got a recent information today that JWST is currently observing the TRAPPIST. I don't know if you remember, I did this TRAPPIST
Yes, indeed.
observations that JWST was going to do in the first 12 months, and it's happening now, and that's mind blowing. Anyways, let me carry on to the next slide, and these are some of the images I took. Of course, atmospheric transits were used for this spectroscopy. So the spectra of the atmosphere of this exoplanet where we found carbon dioxide, WASP 39. Oh, was it? Yeah, WASP 96b. I think this is the one where we found carbon dioxide.
These
Probably.
look like rings.
Oh, was it the water
maybe
line?
maybe also carbon dioxide, but I see water features here.
Yeah. And then, of course, the first proper observation of an exoplanet. Now, this is a giant, like a Jupiter-sized exoplanet that's quite far away from its parent star. But nevertheless, this is fantastic. So we're able to see the exoplanet in different wavelengths. And then, of course, even though JWST is working in infrared, it just returns these amazing images of just sheer beauty. I should have put this one in the first, actually, because this was the first image that JWST took. But this is just the power of JWST, really, is just to be able to provide us with these really amazing deep field views. And again, I think this was a 12-hour exposure.
Like that.
Yeah. And hopefully we're going to expect JWST to do much more than just 12 hours in order to capture the next deep field image.
Definitely. The pillars of creation.
Just jaw-dropping images. It was again the pillars of creation, but it was just the imagery I thought reflected well what JWST is going to provide to us. And well, initially I was sort of on two seats here, saying, oh, Hubble images are invisible light, so the images will always be much better than JWST because of the infrared of its sensors. But actually, when we're getting more and more of these images, and they're just absolutely jaw-dropping. So yeah, I just want to finish with this image just to remind us that in addition to the science data that JWST is going to return, of course, just the sheer beauty of the images is going to be just amazing. So there you go. I just wanted to run this by the panel.
That's really beautiful. It's something very Harry Potter about that, isn't there?
They released it for Halloween, actually. NASA had released that for Halloween. So there you go. Yeah. So that's it. That's it from me. Rachel had to go, so we said goodbye to Rachel. And
bye, Rachel.
Goodbye, Rachel. Thank you so much for everything. And that's it. Does anyone on the panel have anything else they want to contribute tonight?
No, I don't think so. There was one image there was one image I wanted to show, but I seem to have lost it now. I'll save it for next week. It's an amazing image from the Perseverance rover of the delta on Mars, showing rounded pebbles embedded in this ancient river delta, and it's quite amazing. So I will definitely dig that out again for next week.
In space exploration, of course, Perseverance rover. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah,
great.
So there's always so much. That's the problem. I'll deluge every week, so it's just trying to organize everything. So there we are.
Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening and for viewing. Thank you so much to our panelists. Don't forget, we go live every Monday at 8 p.m. UK time. And don't forget
YouTube and Facebook. Don't forget we're on our Facebook page and on the Astronomy Ireland Facebook page as well, live on Mondays at 8 p.m. UK time.
Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe, to follow us, and to like. I know quite a few of you have liked us tonight, so thank you so much for that. That's fantastic.
And if you haven't done so already, please take part in the polls on our Facebook page so that we can forge a way forward for Space Oddities and improve what we do. And your input is absolutely invaluable. We can't do much without you. So please head to our Facebook page and answer the 7 questions there, or as many as you feel like answering, but there are 7 there. So that would be much appreciated. And thanks to everybody who was at our live stream earlier in the day for the Orion Moon flyby. Much appreciated. Lovely to see you there as well. We didn't expect anybody to be watching at 12:15 p.m. UK time on a Monday of all days. But it was nice to have some of you there watching with us. So we hope you enjoyed it. And of course, we will bring you more coverage of live space missions. And the next big one I expect will be the launch from Spaceport Cornwall. And whoever thought we'd hear those words in the same sentence. And this is vitally historic because it's Western Europe's first rocket launch or commercial rocket launch from UK from their own soil. And of course, people have been saying that it's Britain's first launch from its own soil. It's not, because Britain was launching sounding rockets from Scotland in the 1960s. So it's not actually Britain's first rocket launch, but it is the first real commercial launch of the new space age, and a proper space launch. And we will be bringing that to you, the flight of Cosmic Girl to launch mid-air the Launcher 1 rocket. We will, of course, bring that to you live. And as we don't have a date for it yet, we can't say when that's going to be, but we will be covering every single major space launch here live on Space Oddities.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for everyone and for our panelists. So it's goodbye from us. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you
And-
again next week.
Absolutely. We'll see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good week.
Thanks for watching.